Lord, we desire your glory and your presence. Lord, we come submitting to you what you have for us, what you desire for us. Lord, we're not coming to pray that you do our will, but we're coming to pray that we do your will. Lord, we want to bring glory to you, to be in your presence. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. And Lord, we thank you that we give and we pray that, Lord, this seed will fall on good soil, and that, Lord, it'll bring back a harvest, Lord. We pray that, Lord, we give expecting people to come to you, to come into a relationship with you, coming to know you. And Lord, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Got the stereo that might appear a little bit out of place. I want to explain that for just a second. One of the greatest benefits of our salvation, I understand we'll probably be going to heaven, right? But one of the greatest benefits while here to our salvation has to be that ability of hearing God speak to us personally. We can hear God speak to us personally. There can be no limitation or no intimate relationship. Understand, I can't have an intimate relationship with Gina if I don't talk to her and I don't have her talk back. Correct? If Craig talks to Rochelle, but Rochelle never responds, is that an intimate relationship? No. If Rochelle talks to Craig, but Craig never talks back, is that an intimate relationship? No, it's a one-sided relationship. And so there can be no intimate relationship with Jesus if we can't hear his voice. But as easy it is for us to speak to God, it's easy for us to speak to him. You know, we speak to him just like I'm speaking to you. The average Christian has a hard time hearing his voice. I want to let you know, if you'd say here, and you don't have to raise your hand, but if you'd say here today, I have a hard time hearing the voice of God, you're not alone. The average Christian has a very hard time hearing the voice of God. It's not the way God, and that's not the way God intended it to be. God did not intend it for us to sit there and wonder, man, am I hearing from God? Am I not hearing from God? Man, Lord, I just wish I could get a word from you. And learning to clearly distinguish God's voice is invaluable to a relationship with him. Being able to distinguish God's voice instead of going through life blindly. Instead of going through life having to guess with blinders on, we can have the wisdom of God guide us and protect us. You know, there isn't a single person in this room. There's not a single person watching on video. There's not a single person within the sound of my voice who couldn't have their life radically transformed by hearing the voice of God better. The worst material problem, the worst problem you can think of, is only one word away from a total turnaround. If you can hear the voice of God, no matter what situation you're in, no matter how bad, no matter how dire the circumstances, your situation is only one voice away from victory. If you're in a financial crisis, the Lord knows exactly how to turn that situation around. If you have sickness or disease, one living word from the Lord can instantly heal you. It's just a matter of hearing his voice. Now I want to say something that many of you may struggle with. The Lord is constantly, everybody say constantly. Constantly. The Lord is constantly speaking to us and giving us his direction. it's never the Lord not speaking, but it's us who are not hearing. Jesus had some radical statement to say. This may sound kind of harsh, but John chapter 10, verses 3 through 5, he was speaking about himself as the shepherd of sheep. And the only way to enter the sheepfold, John chapter 10, 3 through 5, to him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he puts forth all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him because they do not know the voice of a stranger. Notice in verse 3, he said in verse 3, he being Jesus Christ, if you turn this in your red letter edition, these words are in red. Jesus Christ himself said in verse 3, his sheep hear his voice. He didn't say his sheep can hear his voice, or his sheep should hear his voice. He didn't say any of that. He made a clear emphasis statement that his sheep do hear his voice. But most Christians would question the accuracy of that statement since their experience doesn't line up. The experience doesn't line up. Lord, Josh, I don't really like that verse, and I don't know if I agree because I know I'm a sheep, but I don't hear his voice. But if Jesus Christ himself said it, how many of you know it's not what Jesus said that was wrong? All true believers can and do hear the voice of God. We just don't recognize it for what it is when they hear as being God's voice. Let me see if I can explain this. See the radio in front of me? That radio transmits, and how many of you know there are airwaves here in this room right now? There's radio waves here right now, right? And why can't we hear them? Well, let's see. Radio waves, we can hear it. Radio waves, we can't hear it. I can do that a couple more times if I want to extend the message. The results would be the same. You understand that radio waves, we can't hear it until we're tuned in and it's powered on. That doesn't mean the radio waves aren't there. The radio waves are going 24/7. The radio waves are in this room 24/7. But we only hear them when we turn the receiver on and tune into it. Failure to hear the signal doesn't mean the signal isn't transmitting. Well, I don't hear God. He doesn't speak to me. Yes, he's speaking. You're just not hearing the signal. Or what I hate is I'm not very good at memorizing numbers. And so I'm sitting there trying to find my station. And you go to multi-billion other stations. I'm done with that. But, you know, failure to hear the signal doesn't mean the station isn't transmitting. God is constantly transmitting his voice to his sheep. But few are tuned in and turned on. Most of us, if you want to be truly honest, most of us are busy pleading with God in prayer to transmit. Lord, please speak to me. Please don't. And he's like, I am. Turn on. I'm transmitting. Turn on and tune in. And we're busy pleading with him. Lord, just transmit. Just transmit. When the problem is with our receiver. So first we need to fix, the first thing we need to do is fix our receiver. We need to believe that God is already speaking and start listening. But you know what? And this is a place that I struggle with. You know what that takes? It takes time, effort, and focus. Things that nothing in our culture encourages. We don't really have time for anything. We really don't want to put effort in a whole bunch. And focus. I'm focused on 5 things. I'm going to tell you, the average Christian lifestyle, mine included, is too busy. And it isn't lending itself to hearing God's voice. We're too busy. Too busy everything else that has to be done, running from point A to point B, or too busy being entertained, or too busy going and filling our lives. All of us, I really don't understand, with all the technology that's out there, and every time they release new technology, this is going to make our lives so much simpler. Think of all the extra free time you're going to have. No, we just fill it up with more stuff. I mean, you sit out there and you realize, really, have I gained any extra time? No, I just filled it with more crap. And then wonder, Lord, I can't hear you. No, you don't have the time to take the time to hear Him. All of us seem to be busier than ever. And that's one of the biggest reasons we don't hear the voice of God. We're just too busy. Psalms 46:10. Psalms 46:10. You guys probably know it as the King James says it. Be still and know that I am God. The New American Standard says, cease striving and know that I am God. I really like this one. Let go, relax, and know that I am God. Faith stands that you know God is speaking. God is speaking. We're challenging. For so long, maybe you've been praying, Lord, I just want to hear your voice. Speak to me. Now you need to change that prayer. Lord, fix my hearing. God is speaking, just like the radio, constant communication, but I got to turn on and tune in. Well, what does your schedule look like? One of the most craziest and most difficult classes I've had, I had to actually take it twice. This probably isn't something I should tell you as your pastor. I failed a Bible school class. And it's even worse when you hear what class it is. Authentic Christianity. I failed authentic Christianity. Mainly because I didn't get reports in and stuff. I had to take the class twice because it was just a mountain of work. And I'd taken it with a whole bunch of credit hours. So the second time I took it alone and aced it. But it was like, one of the things they had to do was they said, listen, your life is too busy. You need to learn to be cut off from communication. You want to hear the voice of God? Disconnect and turn off your cell phone. Get away from a computer. Get away from other people for 6 hours. And they made us do it for 2 sets. It had total 12, and it could be 2 hours of 6, or a set of 8 and 4, however you want to. But you had to have 12 hours consecutive and can only be broken up one time. And I think you had to do at least 3 hours in one. So you could have 9 and 3, but you had to have where you were alone and just quiet. I can honestly say I had never done that. I had never taken time just to say, okay, for 6 hours, I'm separated. For 6 hours, no input except for what comes from God. No TV, no radio, no phone, no people, nothing. I'm gone for 6 hours. I have my Bible, a notepad to write in, and prayer. I've never heard from God so much in my entire life. I want to challenge you, if you've not done that, make it happen. Okay, Lord, I'm not going to turn on the TV. I'm not going to have anything. You better let people know, because I'm telling you, everybody and their mother's going to call you. Everybody's going to try to inundate you with things. But just, I'm going to have no input. And I'm going to, because we need to purposefully and intentionally slow down our life. Because I can almost guarantee you everyone in this room is too busy. You're too busy, and then you're like, I can't hear from God. Well, intimacy isn't done in busyness. Intimacy is done in stillness. Slow down. And then, hey, some of those thoughts you're having are God, and you're not even realizing it. You don't know the voice because you're dismissing. Oh, hey, you should go say hi to that person and just ask them how their day is. It's pretty safe that wasn't safe. And if you're an introvert, it's pretty safe to say, it probably wasn't you. That's how God works. He's a spirit, and he communicates as a spirit. And our Holy Spirit says, hey, I think you should go do this. I think you should share this. I think you should do this. And as you start doing it, it will become something more that you're able to know. Well, that's not me, or that is me. But put more stock into that. Realize that some of you guys are hearing from God. You're so discouraged that I don't hear from God. God doesn't speak to me. Really? Then who else told you to go deliver that thing to the next door neighbor? Well, that's just something I did on my own. No, you didn't. God told you to do that, and you just went ahead and did it thinking you thought that up. Or whatever it was. So right now, I just want us to, first of all, take a moment and say, okay, listen. We're going to commit to slowing down. As the worship team starts playing, we're just going to commit that says, Lord, right now, each of us in this room, if you take this commitment, I don't want you to take this lightly, because you will find every reason. It's not easy to go block off 4 to 6 hours out of it. You got things to do. I understand that. I could not possibly block off 4 to 6 hours in my life. Unless, of course, I'm gone for 6 hours, and I won't have my phone. Here you go, just so I know I'm not going to use it. Keep that for me. And go be alone. You got answers you want answered? You'll find them. You got people that you're praying for? You'll come away with more insight. Intentionally slow your life down. So right now, let's pray that point. Lord, right now we come and, Lord, every one of us in this room are too busy. Now, it may not be busy running to and fro. Maybe we're too busy in front of the TV. Maybe we're too busy laying in bed taking naps. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we're too busy on something other than you. And so, Lord, right now, I just pray that you help us rein in our schedules, rein in our busyness, where we can intentionally turn on and tune into you. Lord, I give the challenge, and I just pray that you lay it on people's hearts that you take the challenge to say, hey, I'm going to seclude myself for 6 hours. For 6 hours, I'm going to seclude myself from outside interference and just focus on you, Lord, and allow you to talk. It's tough. Lord, the first 3 or 4 hours is You feel ridiculous. The last couple hours are unbelievable. Lord, show us when we're not being good stewards of our time. Lord, challenge each of us here. Now, point 2. You're hearing God and you're dismissing Him. Lord, I just pray right now that, Lord, you'd have us to be more sensitive. We're asking you to speak, and Lord, quite honestly, going about our lives as normal, not paying attention to see if you are speaking. We're asking you to speak, but we never still tune in or turn on, so even while you're speaking, we don't hear. So Lord, right now, I just pray that you cause us all to be hypersensitive, hyper-aware of you speaking to us. And then, Lord, many of us are waiting for an audible voice when it's the still small voice, the leading, the impression, the hey, go do this. That's how you speak to us. You're a spirit. You speak to us spirit to spirit. Very rarely is it face to face or mouth to ear, but it's spirit to spirit. So, Lord, we all raised our hands before service and said, we're praying for someone to be saved. And we don't know what to say. But Lord, next time we're with them, you're going to have things that come to mind. And we've dismissed them time and time and time again. It's just our own thoughts. But Lord, this time we're going to be sensitive to them. And realize that that's God speaking to me and telling me what to say to my friend, co-worker, or family member. Lord, we desire to hear your voice and know that you desire for us to hear it. Lord, we want to build intimacy with you. Teach us to hear your voice, to turn on and tune in. In Jesus' name. Amen.